Everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the new 6-inch Power Rangers Legacy Collection Ninja Storm figures from Bandai America. Now, before we get into this review, I just want to be upfront with you guys and let you know I am not a big Power Rangers fan. I don't have extensive knowledge of the brand. In fact, these are the very first Power Ranger figures I've ever owned. Some of you have been asking for reviews of these figures, and I found them at Target yesterday, so I decided to go on and pick them up so I could do a quick review for you. But again, I don't have extensive knowledge, so don't crucify me if I don't know the differences between the different versions of Power Rangers and everything. So these figures come packaged in a very generic looking window box type packaging. The figures are clearly displayed. You've got the Power Rangers logo up at the top. It tells you that you can complete this build a Megazord, and then you've got an image of each of the characters off to the side and the Ninja Storm logo down below with corresponding colored lightning for each character. So we've got the Red Ranger with red lightning, Blue Ranger with blue lightning, and the Yellow Ranger with yellow lightning. Now on the back of the packaging, it's exactly the same for all three figures. Now there's actually 5 figures in this wave, and I saw all 5 at Target yesterday, but I only picked up these 3 because these are the 3 that you need in order to complete this Ninja Storm Megazord. The other 2 seem to be kind of a part of a different series. Again, I'm not really clear on the differences between these, but seem like you need to get other figures that I'm not sure have even been released yet to complete a different build of figure with the second Red Ranger and this Green Ranger. But again, all 5 figures are hitting shelves, and you can pick them up at places like Target. That's where I found these. Okay, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now, right off the bat, I've got to say that these figures seem to be pretty generic. I, again, have never had these are my first Power Ranger figures, so I don't know if that's pretty standard for this line, but definitely both of the male figures, the Yellow Ranger and the Red Ranger, are exact same figure. They've just repainted with different color schemes. You've got the yellow, obviously, for the Yellow Ranger with this lion symbol painted on his chest, and then you've got the red for the Red Ranger with this other symbol, which I'm not even sure what that's supposed to be. The helmets are a little bit different between the 2 figures, and then the Blue Ranger, which is the female, is a different mold, but still very similar in construction design. She's got a skirt piece that's done with a kind of, well, it's actually pretty hard plastic. It's got a little flexibility to it, but it is basically feels more plastic than your typical vinyl material. So it does kind of limit the leg movement there. And then all 3 figures come with the exact same weapons. So you get a sword, and then you get a sheath with a sword in it that's not removable. So I don't know why they didn't just make a sheath with a sword that you could pull out instead of giving you a separate sword and then a sheath with a sword in it. Would have made the figure a little more fun, and I would even think maybe even a little cheaper. But the swords are just kind of done with a rubber material, and you've got the red handle, and you've got this little black square on the handle, and you got a little bit of sculpting detail on the handle, and then you've got this gold metallic paint that comes up halfway to the blade, and then you've got silver metallic paint used on the blade itself. And again, these are exactly the same with all 3 figures, and then the sheath is just black plastic with this red handle. There's not as much detail. The little square isn't colored black on this, and again, it's just not as detailed as the actual sword itself. And it's also done with kind of a rubber type material. And again, these are all exactly the same. All 3 figures have holes on the back, and you can just plug the sheath in. And it's, again, exactly the same for all 3 figures. One thing I want to caution you is the red on the handle of these swords. This, again, these are kind of a rubber material, but the red paint is going to have a tendency, at least on mine, they have a tendency to rub off on the white of these hands on the figures when you slide them into the fists. So just be careful. I don't know if there's really much you can do about it if you're going to have them hold the swords, but just be prepared that the inside of the hands are going to look more pink than white. Now, besides the swords, each figure comes with a piece or pieces to this Megazord Build-A-Figure, and the Blue Ranger comes with the right arm, which is shaped like a shark, and also the right leg. Then the Yellow Ranger comes with the left arm, which has this lion head on it, and then the left leg, and then the Red Ranger comes with the torso section and head. So it has these pieces that you can remove on the back. I don't really know what the purpose of them are, but you can actually, they just attach with the little pegs, and you've got the little holes on the back. And you want to make sure that you attach them correctly, because if you switch these off, then they actually fit in at an angle and they don't fit as well. You can make it work if you want to, but they have a tendency to kind of bump each other off when you do it, try and do it that way. But again, you can't actually do it that way, and they kind of fit diagonally like that. But the correct way, and the way they'll fit in better, is if you have them so that they're straight down along the back. Now, putting together this Megazord is pretty easy. They're just snap in with ball joints. However, it might be, because the ball joints on the waist here are kind of tucked in, and you got this plastic piece on the side, it is actually kind of easier if you remove this little upper leg piece, which also attaches with the ball joint, and plug these in first. And it can be, especially the first time you do it, it can be kind of hard to push them in. But I found it's just easier to do it that way than to try and do it with the whole leg at once. Once you have those in, then you can just plug the legs back in, and it fits in nice and easy. And then for the arms, you just plug in the left arm onto the left side, and then the right arm on the right side. Now, I will say that this right arm, especially the first time, it takes some effort to really kind of push it in there, but once you get it in there, it does snap in nice and tight. The Megazord fully put together, and I think it's kind of cool looking. Like I said, you've got the one arm that looks like a shark, and then this arm which has the lion head. You've got basic articulation, so you can turn the head to the left and the right, and you got a little up or down movement with it. You can't really do the arms out with the way they're sculpted, so you can rotate the arm though. You've got a ball, or just a single hinged elbow. You've got swivels at the wrist. Not really much in the way of up or down movement. I think the hands are attached with little ball joints. We've got this H symbol on his chest, and then the legs, you can do the splits about that much, and you can get the leg forward. You've got rotation there basically at the thigh where that ball joint connects, and you've essentially got a single hinged knee, so you can bend it about that much, and you can do the leg back about that much, not a whole lot. And then there's a little bit of up and down movement with the feet, but that's it. Maybe pivoted a little bit, but it's kind of, the feet are kind of trapped into the way it's sculpted, so you don't have a whole lot of movement there with the feet. This thing stands about a little under 8 inches. If you count, the shoulders are actually a little bit, the arms are a little bit taller, so if you count that, it's almost exactly 8 inches. Going back to the figures themselves, we have very basic paint applications. You've just got a basic yellow. There's no wash effects on any of these figures, so you've just got the basic yellow with a metallic type silver, and you've got some metallic gold trim on the helmet and on the wrists and down here on the boots and on the belt. Same with the Red Ranger. You've just got a basic red color with the metallic silver on the arms. You've got whites on the gloves, and then the gold and black trim throughout the figure. And then the Blue Ranger has got the basic blue, again with the metallic silver, and then the gold trim and the black and the white and everything. So color schemes and are very similar among the three figures, or paint applications I should say. And then, like I said, these two figures are exactly the same, except for the helmets are a little bit different. Now the Red Ranger and the Yellow Ranger may be a hair taller than the Blue Ranger, and these figures stand about almost 6 3/4 inches tall. And then here's a comparison with the three figures in the Megazord. Now, I always thought these Megazords were supposed to be much taller than the human counterparts. So I don't know if this is supposed to be in scale or what, but it's only a little bit taller than the actual figures. And here's a comparison with a couple Marvel Legend figures from Hasbro, and it does look like, in general, the Power Ranger figures are a bit taller than Marvel Legends. So for articulation, these figures do seem to have a pretty good range of motion, though some of the joints do come off being a little bit on the loose side, so that may be something you want to be wary of. But overall, the actual articulation is decent. Now, it's exactly the same between the two male figures, the Yellow Ranger and the Red Ranger. It is a little bit different with the Blue Ranger, mainly here with the midsection with the ab crunch joint, and then the female figure only has single hinged elbows as opposed to double hinged elbows. And then also with the legs on the female, because she's got this skirt piece that limits some of the leg movement as well. Male figure, the head's attached with the ball hinge joint, so he can look left and he can look right right. He's got good down movement and can look back pretty good. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder, so that's about as far out as you can get the arm because of the way the shoulder is sculpted. You've got good rotation there. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a double hinged elbow, so good bending there at the elbow. He's got swivels at the wrist, and then the hands are attached with little ball joints, so he's got good up and down movement with the hands. You've got an ab crunch type joint, so he can crunch down about that much, and he can look back only about that much. He has a waist swivel, so he can only swivel about that much though, and then the legs are attached with ball joints, so he can get the legs out good. He can get the leg forward about that much, and he can do the leg out and back. You've got a thigh swivel. You've got a double jointed knee, so good bending at the knee. You've got swivels at the boot cuff, and then hinges on the feet, so good up and down movement, and does have ankle pivot, and no peg holes on the bottom of the feet. So as I mentioned, on the female figure, articulation is almost the same. Head's attached with the standard ball hinge joints, so it can look left and right. It's got good down movement, can look back pretty good. Arms attached with the standard ball hinge joints, so it can get the arm out about that much. Got good rotation, has a bicep swivel. Only has the single hinged elbow as opposed to double hinge, but can still bend pretty good there. Also has the swivels at the wrist, attached with the little ball joints, so good up and down movement. The midsection joint is attached with a ball, so it's not a standard ab crunch joint, but you do have some rotation there, and you can actually look down and back pretty good with that joint. Does not have a waist swivel. Legs are attached with the ball joint, but because of the skirt piece, can only do the splits about that much. Can't really do the leg forward or back very much. Has a thigh swivel, has a double jointed knee, so good bending there. Has the boot cuff swivel, has the hinges on the feet, and does have ankle pivot. And once again, no peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. So not being a very big Power Rangers fan and never having owned any other Power Rangers figures, I don't have a lot to compare these to. I will say the overall sculpting, paint applications, and weapon accessories are very basic and generic. The two male figures are almost exactly the same, other than some very minor differences with the helmets and the paint scheme. The weapons with all three figures are exactly the same. I do like the articulation on the figures, even though they are a little bit, the joints are a little bit loose. You do have a nice range of motion with them, and I do like the Megazord Build-A-Figure. Even though I don't know if it's in scale or not, I tend to think it's not. I do still think it's kind of cool that you have that. So these figures are hitting Target stores now. They cost $20 each. We'll have a full gallery of images up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook and or Twitter pages. I'll have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.